Hello there. What is going on, everyone? The Boba Fett Daimyo expansion is now available for pre-order on Asmodee's website. And it also, in addition to just being up, it also highlights a item numbering gap that kind of leads to a lot of missing or unknown expansions. And we're going to talk about that in today's video because I think it's very exciting to talk about and highlight all of the things that we don't know because we get to speculate. And that's one of my favorite things because it's even less speculation because numbers exist for a reason. And so really not speculating on numbers, or really speculating on what those numbers mean. And so that's a fun thing to talk about. If you guys are new here to the channel, we are giving away a lightsaber that is running throughout the end of the year. All you have to do to enter to win that is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. That's also going to enter you to win in the 12 Days of Life Day giveaways during the month of December. 12 times. We're going to just do surprise giveaways. I typically announce winners at the end of my videos, so make sure you watch all the way through. Also, big shout out to today's sponsor, Luxury Playstyle. Head over to luxuryplaystyle.com. Check out these amazing, full metal, shiny, gorgeous, double-sided tokens compatible with games like Star Wars Legion. So we have tokens that are compatible with Star Wars X-Wing, Magic the Gathering, L5R, Arkham Horror, all kinds of games. Check them out. Head over to luxuryplaystyle.com. You're going to love these tokens. They're going to make you want to play your games more. If you use code Crabbok VIP, you're going to save 15%. Also, orders that use that code that spend $35 or more are going to get a free Crabbok token with the lightsaber nunchucks on there. You are going to really like this. It's pretty much the best token in gaming, so you're going to get one of those thrown in free with your order if you use that code. Make for amazing holiday gifts, stocking stuffers. Prize support lets your tournaments and lets your stores know. Check these guys out. Use that code. You're going to save 15%. Check out luxuryplaystyle.com. All right, so Boba Fett is up for pre-order, and he is clocking in at number 104. And it's pretty interesting because there's a couple of different things that went up. You know, the X-Wing, we talked about that yesterday. The X-Wing went up for pre-order also. I think that one was number 100. So like a lot of stuff has come out just recently in like the 98, 99. We're at like, you know, Boba Fett's 104. That does leave a little bit of room between 100 and 104. But the interesting thing that I found most interesting is the fact that the next number up from 104 is 122 on the Asmodee website. And that's the first, the Battle Force boxes. They've got 122, 123, 124, etc. For all the different Battle Force boxes that are out there. Now, so it's not uncommon to see a gap in numbers. Usually a gap of like 1 or 2 missing, or even 3 or 4 missing, because sometimes, Boba Fett might be announced before the rest of the stuff in this wave. Usually content gets kind of developed in a wave. A lot of times they don't. Granted, I don't know how AMG is doing it right now, but in the past, games like this will do content in a whole wave, because this way they can make a wave that kind of complements each other. If they're going to introduce a new mechanic, maybe here's one person from each faction that's kind of using this mechanic. Think back to like Lando, and he had the contingencies, and then Callus also had the contingencies, and that, they like stuff kind of comes out in groups. Legion's always had stuff that kind of came out in waves. So does X-Wing, so does Armada, so do a lot of games like that. You have a group of stuff that is blocked or grouped together, and usually they complement each other. They have similar play styles. And things, and not necessarily totally symmetric, maybe asymmetric, but still complementary. And that's usually how a wave tends to kind of come out and work together. Look at, for example, the Shadow Collective and all of the stuff that came out with the Shadow Collective, the individual expansions, and then also the bikes, and then Gar Saxon, all of that went together. And so what's likely is that Boba Fett is part of a wave, but there's probably some things before the 104, like maybe 101, 102, 103. Those are missing right now. We're going to talk about some of the things that are missing, but there's a big number of stuff that's missing between 104 and 122. 18 items. 18 beautiful items. And that's what I want to talk about today, because there's some things we do know, there's some things we don't know, and there's some things we can definitely conclude, and there's some things we can assume. So I'm going to talk about all of those. I want to talk about some of the things we do know. We do know some of the expansions that are being worked on right now, that are in production, that have been announced, that have been like more informally announced, and some that have been concretely announced, and so that's really cool. So let's talk about Ahsoka and Asajj Ventress, two characters that were teased at Mini Stravaganza during a painting stream. This was an actual announcement, although it wasn't the like website announcement. And so it was, it was kind of it counts as being an official announcement, but to me, it's more official once they have an like an article or a posting that you can link to, and you see you actually can link something, right? In this case, it was like a part of a stream, so like it's kind of in a weird position, but it's definitely official. AMG put it out. They had even said Ahsoka was confirmed, but we learned a little bit more about the Ahsoka that was confirmed, in that it is the Fulcrum Ahsoka, grown-up Ahsoka, as she appeared in Star Wars Rebels. She'll be coming to the Rebel faction. Asajj Ventress, also early Clone Wars Asajj Ventress, Season 1 Clone Wars, Count Dooku's assassin, very much separatist CIS version of Asajj Ventress. It was pretty much not so bluntly stated that basically these don't mean that this is the only version of these characters that we're going to get. There's other versions that are possible and likely, like for example, the clones are, Republic is going to get a version of Ahsoka as well. It's just what's confirmed right now is that Rebels are getting her first. And there can be a number of reasons for that, and I think that that's going to fuel into the speculation here. But there's other things that were also announced that are coming. We know Republic's getting Commander Cody, and of course, a couple of other clones in what looks to be like a really nice clone support pack. We still haven't seen more concrete details on that. It was more of a kind of behind the scenes spoiler from AMG at San Diego Comic-Con. But we also know that probably sooner rather than later, we're going to be getting Moff Gideon, as well as the Dark Troopers that were teased at Mini Stravaganza. So Gideon and Dark Troopers are teased. Cody is out there, Asajj and Ahsoka. And don't forget next year's Ewoks. We're getting an Ewok battle force. And so there's Ewoks that are coming as well. So there's definitely things that have been announced. There's things that are coming, beyond the Boba Fett and the other stuff that has kind of already been talked about and is up for pre-order now. But in this gap, and some of these things could be before Boba Fett, because we have some numbers in the lower end of the spectrum that haven't been filled yet. So Gideon and Dark Troopers and stuff like that could easily be in there, because I could see those kind of fitting with the Din Djarin wave and maybe coming out sooner rather than later. It's possible, but then again, not the numbers don't always correlate to the order in which they come out. Anything can put a damper on stuff, like having the wrong base and having to correct that, or having misprints on cards and having to correct those, or opting not to correct them and just shipping them as they are, having production failures where you ordered something and then it came out, it didn't look like what the proofs looked like and you had to send it back, or licensing puts a hold on something and then you have to all right, well, everything's going except for this one item, like things like that can happen. We've seen like with all the battle forces, I think it's Blizzard Force is the only battle force box that was delayed by significantly more than everybody else, and so these things can happen, and so the numbers don't always correlate exactly to the order in which they come out. So even though Boba Fett's 104, he might come out before 101, 102, and 103, right? But that seems like that might be likely, in that he's actually up for pre-order, and certain other ones like Gideon, we haven't even seen an official confirmation from Gideon. We've only heard it. They've said that they would do that, and we've seen the one of the cards, but we don't know what his box will look like. We don't know what the unit card will look like. We can assume, and I will definitely assume, that he will have the Darksaber, but or at least a version of, maybe a weaker version of the Darksaber. I definitely can assume that, but yeah, we don't know what the Dark Troopers box is going to look like. Well, we don't know. There's a lot we don't know about Dark Troopers, although we did have more spoiled on them. We have seen the unit card. We've seen a little bit. We've seen part of their content. and it looks cool. It looks very cool. But there's just so much we haven't seen from a lot of units that aren't even up for pre-order yet. But still, if you add up all of those things, out of the 18, it's even more than 18, because there's some more before. But let's go with the 18 in between Boba Fett and the Battle Force boxes. I'm looking at Asajj, Ahsoka, Cody, Gideon, Dark Troopers, and Ewoks. So that's 6 items. That leaves 12 things. So now it comes time for speculation. Now, there could be reason that there's a big gap there. There could be an entire wave or two. There could be 2 waves of stuff that had to be canceled, and maybe the Battle Force boxes came out earlier, and maybe they were planned initially to come out much later. Who knows? But what I like to think is that there's 12 expansions, and maybe more than 12, that are in the pipe that are getting very, very close, and that we don't even know about yet. And, granted, nothing's going to be too much of a surprise, because if it's popular in Star Wars and we think it would work well in Legion, it probably will work well in Legion. It's a pretty good chance that it's going to show up. So the only question is really when. So now, if we look at the 12 spots available, I'm sure that that Ewoks might take up more than one. So I imagine Ewoks may get delivered in a way similar to how the Shadow Collective got delivered, in that you'll probably get like a Battle Forces box or a starter box, as well as a handful of accompanying products. They did also say that part of the Ewoks wave would be a way to put Chewbacca in an ATST, and the Rebels can run an ATST. I don't know if that's going to be a whole separate box, or if that's just going to be a card that gives you an alternate way to run an ATST for the Rebels. My guess is that they'll probably give us an all-new ATST. It's a guess. Because I think they'll want to put Chewbacca in there and have a way to sculpt it differently. Plus, it's a kind of a way, honestly, it's a way for them to sell a sculpt they already have, which is, and great, it's a beautiful model. It's a way for them to sell a sculpt they already have, and just by adding one little piece to the top and then kind of putting it back out there. So maybe they'll do that, maybe not. Maybe it'll just be the card. Either way, I already have 2 ATSTs, so I don't really need another one. But because I could very, very easily just run one and say, oh, this is part of the Rebels now. So there's definitely that. But I think Ewoks will probably account for probably at least 4, if not more. I imagine whatever we get in the battle box, like whatever types of core units, it seems like there's at least 2 types of core units for the Ewoks. They have more of a melee unit and more of a ranged unit. Like an axes and then a slings or bow and arrow kind of unit. I think those will have their own individual expansions. We'll probably have a Wicket expansion, or maybe Chief Chirpa, but Chief Chirpa might be in the Battle Force box. He might be like the Maul, how you get Maul only in the Shadow Collective box. They could do that. It looks like Logray will be there, so he might be exclusive to the box, or he might have his own expansion as well. And then they may do like a vehicle, like a glider that is in its own box only and not in the regular box. So that's still, so that accounts for, a decent number. So, but there's still, out of those 12, 6, 8, I imagine there's probably still room for multiple more expansions that haven't been even teased or announced yet, that are in these missing numbers. And I think it's kind of exciting. So I want to kind of speculate on some of them. And one of the things I think is, if we're getting Ahsoka for the Rebels, I think it means that we're going to have... It's going to put Empire pretty far at the bottom of the list on Force users. Or at least like Sith or Jedi type characters. I mean, because, all right, Palpatine's a Force user, but he doesn't use a lightsaber. And while they may have Gideon, who can wield the Darksaber, he's not a Force user, and he's certainly not good at it. It's kind of like having Sabine. Sabine's not a Jedi either for the Rebels, right? So you just got Luke. So they're going to get their second Jedi for the Rebels. I think they needed another Sith or Dark Jedi or Dark Side user for the... another red lightsaber user for the Empire. So I think Inquisitors are definitely coming. Maybe just the Grand Inquisitor, maybe multiple Inquisitors. And along to go along with that, I think the rest of the Rebels crew we're long overdue for that. You know, and I feel like the Imperial Remnant that was definitely teased is possibly going to have more than just Gideon and Dark Troopers. I think we'll see some more stuff related to an Imperial Remnant battle force. This could mean like the new type of E-web they used in The Mandalorian, maybe in Incinerator Trooper or the individual Flame Trooper. Somebody brought up in the Discord, and by the way, if you're not in our Discord yet, you definitely should be. What are you waiting for? It's free. It's a great way to communicate and talk with us. There's a link in the video description below. So join the Discord and come hang out and ask some questions. You know, shoot the breeze with us about Star Wars Legion. But somebody brought up a really good point, and that, you know, most of the operatives available for the Empire are bounty hunters, and now they're all mercs and stuff like that too. So wouldn't it be really cool to have like that one solo lone Incinerator Trooper that we had in The Mandalorian? To have somebody like that as an operative, like have a stormtrooper operative who's holding a giant flame cannon that's got like a really, really cool flame weapon. I mean, because like flame weapons are strong, but they typically only range 1. Wouldn't it be really cool to have that dude as like a range 2 flame weapon? That sounds like that could be really risky, but I mean, if you price him accordingly and he's just 1 unit, I think it could work. I think it'd be fun. You know, and I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it, of course. And I'd love to see the sculpting that people would end up doing with it, too, and putting, like, fire and stuff like that. But I also think, you know, if you look at the timing of the things that are coming out, especially with all the Mandalorian stuff and the popular Disney Plus stuff, I feel like we're also overdue for a Bad Batch inclusion. I think the Bad Batch need to show up in Star Wars Legion. But I think when the Bad Batch show up, it's going to be a big reveal. And I think there's enough room in this gap for there to be all of the Bad Batch. I think they all come out together, and I think we're going to see them. I think they're going to be multi-faction too. I think they're going to be usable in the Rebels and in the Republic, and I think it's going to be really cool. I think you're going to get all of them. I don't know if they'll be all in one box or if they'll all be in individual boxes, and maybe they'll have a special battle force that allows them to, you know, to run all of them as like commander and 4 operatives or something like that, like basically a Clone Force 99, you know, a battle force. I feel like that would be really, really cool. I'd love to see it, and I'm curious what you guys think. So again, there's a lot of empty spots. The cool thing is that means that there's plenty more AMG in the pipe. AMG is doing lots of Legion stuff. And if you've seen their new website, they definitely have Legion and all the Star Wars games on there now. X-Wing and Armada also have big sections at the top of the website. But Legion is the #1 option. It's the first option on AMG's website now. It's the biggest rectangle. So they definitely have a lot of Legion planned. And I'm curious of how much of it is actually being taken up by Ewoks, how much of it is you know, the stuff that we've already seen, and how much of it is things we haven't seen yet. And I'm also curious how many of my little predictions I'm going to get right. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. All right, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I want to thank you all so much. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are amazing and help make this channel possible. So thank you for your continued support. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. Always wash your socks and live long and prosper.